Welcome back to TokiCast, my friend. Come closer and let me show you something. In your hand, imagine a small square of chocolate. Smooth, dark, shining softly in the light. You lift it to your mouth and it melts. Sweet, rich, warm. It costs almost nothing. You can buy it at any corner shop on earth. But here is the strange, true thing. This little square in your hand was once so precious that an empire used it as money. People were buried with it. Wars were fought over the lands that grew it. And for hundreds of years, the sweetness you are tasting was paid for with the blood and suffering of millions of people whose names history tried to forget. Take a slow breath and let me show you the dark story hidden inside something so sweet. A drink the ancient gods were said to have given to humankind. Beans used as coins, so valuable that people counted their wealth in them. A bitter, spicy potion that European kings became addicted to. A sweet empire built on the backs of enslaved and stolen lives. And a treat that today sits in almost every home on the planet, its dark history quietly forgotten. This is the story of chocolate. If this gives you a little wonder and a little understanding, leave a like and subscribe. It means everything to us here at TokiCast. Our story begins more than 3,000 years ago in the hot, green rainforests of Central America. Long before there were cities or kings, the people there discovered a strange tree. It grew fat, colorful pods directly on its trunk, and inside each pod were clusters of pale seeds, wrapped in sweet white pulp. The tree was the cacao tree, and those bitter seeds inside, those were the beans that would one day become chocolate. Let us stay a moment longer in those ancient rainforests, because the beginning of this story is stranger than most people know. The cacao tree is a difficult, delicate thing. Its flowers are tiny, and they are pollinated not by bees, but by little flies smaller than a grain of rice that live in the damp shadows of the forest floor. Without these almost invisible insects, there would be no cacao pods at all, and so there would be no chocolate anywhere in the world. Can you imagine? The entire global love of chocolate, worth more than the treasure of kings, rests quietly on the wings of a fly you could barely see. It is one of those small, hidden truths that history books rush past, but I did not want us to miss it. The grandest stories so often depend on the tiniest, most overlooked things. And the people who first understood this tree were patient beyond measure. To turn those bitter seeds into something worth drinking took many careful steps, discovered slowly over generations, letting the beans ferment in their sweet pulp, drying them under the sun, roasting them over fire, and grinding them by hand upon warm stone. No single person invented chocolate. It was the patient work of countless unnamed hands across thousands of years, each adding a little to what those before them had learned. The first people we know who truly used it were the ancient Olmec, and later the great Maya civilization. But here is something that would surprise almost anyone eating a chocolate bar today. For nearly all of its history, chocolate was not sweet, and it was not solid. It was a drink, and often a bitter, spicy one. The Maya would take the cacao beans, dry them, roast them, and grind them into a paste. Then they mixed that paste with water, chili peppers, and spices, and poured it back and forth between two cups until it grew thick and covered in foam. That foam was the most treasured part. Can you imagine ordering a hot chocolate today and finding it spicy, bitter, and without a single grain of sugar? That was the original taste of chocolate for thousands of years. To the Maya, this drink was sacred. They believed the cacao tree was a gift from the gods, a bridge between the world of humans and the world of the divine. They drank it at weddings, at sacred ceremonies, and in the courts of kings. And here is the quiet part, my friend. The word we still use today carries that ancient magic. Our word chocolate comes down to us, through the Spanish, from the languages of these ancient peoples. Every time you say the word, you are speaking an echo thousands of years old. And there is a beautiful secret hidden in the scientific name of the tree itself. Centuries later, when a great scientist sat down to give the cacao tree its official name, he chose words that remembered its sacred past. He called it Theobroma cacao, and Theobroma, in ancient Greek, means food of the gods. Can you imagine? Long after the Maya temples had fallen silent, their belief that this was a divine gift was quietly written into the very name of the tree, in a language from the other side of the world. Some truths, my friend, are simply too powerful to be forgotten. They find a way to survive, hidden inside a word. Consider, too, just how far this single tree traveled. It began in a narrow band of hot rainforest in the Americas, a plant that will only grow near the equator, in warmth and shade and heavy rain. Yet the hunger for its beans was so great that, over the centuries, it was carried across oceans and planted in distant lands, from West Africa to Southeast Asia, until today, most of the world's cacao grows thousands of miles from where it was born. A single tree from the American rainforest reshaped farms, economies, and lives on nearly every continent. That is the strange power of something the world decides it cannot live without. Then came the Aztecs, the mighty empire that rose later in what is now Mexico, and they took the value of cacao even further. The Aztecs could not easily grow cacao in their highland home, so they had to receive it through trade and tribute from warmer lands. This made it rare, and because it was rare, it became something extraordinary: money. Real, spendable money. Think about that for a moment. The Aztecs used cacao beans as currency. Historical records tell us the prices. A single tomato might cost 1 bean. A turkey egg, a few beans. A whole turkey, around 100 beans. People could pay their taxes in cacao. They could buy their food with it. Their wealth could be counted, quite literally, in beans. Can you imagine a world where the change in your pocket was something you could also drink? And because it was so valuable, cacao became the drink of emperors, warriors, and priests, a symbol of power itself. It is said that the great Aztec emperor Montezuma valued the drink so highly that it was served to him in golden cups. But cacao was a treasure that could not stay hidden forever. And when the outside world discovered it, the story turned dark. Let me pause on one meeting, my friend, because it captures the whole collision of two worlds. When the Spanish leader Hernán Cortés came face to face with the Aztec Empire and its ruler Montezuma, the chocolate drink was flowing at the heart of the royal court. The Spanish watched, amazed, as the emperor's court consumed this frothy drink from precious cups. To the Aztecs, it was sacred power. To the Spanish, it was strange and bitter at first. But they could see one thing very clearly: these beans were treated like treasure. And treasure was exactly what they had crossed the ocean to find. Within a few short years, the mighty Aztec Empire would fall to the Spanish, and the diseases they brought with them, and the sacred drink of a fallen people would begin its long journey into the cups of their conquerors. An entire civilization collapsed, but its bitter, magical drink survived and traveled onward. In the early 1500s, Spanish explorers arrived on the shores of the Americas. They came seeking gold and glory, and they found an entire civilization built around this strange, bitter drink. At first, some of them hated the taste. One European traveler described it as a bitter drink fit more for pigs than for people. But slowly, the Spanish made a small change that would conquer the world. They began to add sugar and honey to the bitter cacao, along with sweet spices like cinnamon and vanilla. And suddenly, the bitter drink of the ancient Americas became something new. A sweet, warm luxury. When this sweetened chocolate crossed the ocean to Spain, it became a sensation. For a while, the Spanish tried to keep it a secret, a private treasure of their royal court. But secrets like that never last. Chocolate spread across Europe like a delicious fever. In France, in England, in Italy, the rich and the royal fell in love with it. Grand chocolate houses opened in London, where wealthy gentlemen would gather to sip the fashionable new drink, talk business, and be seen. Chocolate had become the height of luxury, a symbol of wealth, taste, and power, and chocolate carried strange reputations with it as it spread. For a long time, Europeans were not quite sure what this substance really was. Was it a food, a medicine, something almost magical? Doctors of the time prescribed chocolate for all sorts of ailments, believing it could cure sickness, restore strength, and lift a tired spirit. In the grand courts of Europe, it gained another reputation too, as a drink of love, a potion said to stir romance and desire. It is often told that the famous adventurer Casanova drank chocolate before seeing those he wished to charm, trusting it more than wine. Whether such stories are fully true or half legend, they show how powerfully chocolate gripped the imagination. For a few centuries, this bitter bean from across the sea was seen as medicine, luxury, and magic all at once, sipped slowly and expensively by those who could afford the mystery. But almost no one sipping those sweet cups asked the most important question: who was paying the true price for all this sweetness? Because here, my friend, is the darkest part of our story. As Europe's hunger for chocolate and sugar grew and grew, so did the need for people to grow it. Cacao and sugar are difficult, back-breaking crops, and to produce them cheaply, in enormous amounts, the European powers turned to one of the greatest crimes in human history. Across the following centuries, millions of African men, women, and children were captured, torn from their homes, and shipped across the ocean in chains, forced into slavery on vast plantations. Many of those plantations grew the sugar that sweetened the chocolate, and the cacao itself. The sweet treat that delighted the kings and queens of Europe was, for a very long time, built directly upon the suffering of enslaved people who never tasted a single bite of the luxury they died to produce. This is the blood inside the sweetness. It is not a comfortable truth, but it is a true one, and the people who suffered deserve to be remembered. For every elegant cup sipped in a warm London chocolate house, there was a human being, far across the sea, whose stolen life had paid for it. Can you imagine holding that same little square of chocolate now, knowing the weight of the history inside it? And the shadow did not simply vanish with the passing of the centuries. Even in more modern times, the growing of cacao has been marked by hardship and by the labor of the very poor, sometimes including children, working long hours in difficult conditions in faraway lands, so that the rest of the world could enjoy its chocolate cheaply. It is a difficult part of the story that continues, in quieter forms, even today. And it is one reason you may now see the words "fair trade" printed on some chocolate, a promise that the people who grew it were treated and paid more justly. But let us follow the sweetness forward, into the age that put chocolate into your hand. For most of its history, remember, chocolate was only a drink, and mostly a drink for the rich. What changed everything was a wave of clever inventions in the 1800s. In Europe, inventors found ways to press the cacao, to separate its rich butter from its solids, and to recombine them into something entirely new. For the first time in over 3,000 years, chocolate could be made solid. It could be poured into a mold. It could become a bar. Then came another quiet revolution, the idea of adding milk to make it smoother, creamier, and gentler on the tongue. Milk chocolate was born. And as machines grew faster and cheaper, something remarkable happened. the sacred drink of Maya kings, the currency of Aztec emperors, the luxury of European royalty. This ancient treasure finally came down from the palaces and into the hands of ordinary people. A worker could now buy a small bar of chocolate for a few coins. The treat of emperors had become the treat of everyone. And now, my friend, let me name the ordinary people who finally set chocolate free. Because their small inventions changed the world quietly, the way small things so often do. In the Netherlands, a man named Coenraad van Houten found a way to press the fat from the cacao bean, creating a light cocoa powder and making chocolate cheaper and smoother than ever before. His invention opened the door. Then, in England, the Fry family used these new methods to press cacao, its butter, and sugar into the very first true chocolate bar that people could eat rather than drink. For the first time in over 3,000 years, chocolate had a solid shape. And later, in Switzerland, a man named Daniel Peter, working with his neighbor Henri Nestlé, solved a puzzle that had defeated others: how to blend milk into chocolate without it spoiling. The answer was condensed milk, and the result was smooth, sweet milk chocolate, the kind most of the world loves today. None of these men were kings or emperors. They were makers, tinkerers, families in small workshops, and it was their patient, ordinary work that took chocolate the final step of its long journey, down from the golden cups of the powerful and into the pocket of almost every child on earth. So let us look back, my friend, at the long journey we have taken together. We started with a small square of chocolate melting in your hand. We traveled back 3,000 years to a sacred, bitter drink poured between two cups in the rainforests of the Maya. We watched an empire count its wealth in beans and serve chocolate in golden cups. We followed it across the ocean, where sugar turned it sweet and kings fell in love. We faced the darkness beneath the sweetness, the millions of stolen lives that paid for the world's delight. And finally, we watched it transform from a drink of emperors into a simple bar that almost anyone on earth can hold. And here is the quiet part, the part that is really about you. The next time a small square of chocolate melts on your tongue, perhaps you will taste something more than sweetness. Inside that little square lives the prayer of a Maya priest, the gold of an Aztec emperor, the greed of empires, and the remembered suffering of people who were never thanked. Almost everything in your life that seems ordinary, the coffee in your cup, the cotton in your shirt, the sugar in your tea, carries a hidden history just like this one, full of wonder and full of shadow. To know that history is not to lose the sweetness, it is to hold it more gently, and to remember the human beings, famous and forgotten, whose lives are folded quietly into the smallest, most ordinary pleasures. History is rarely just sweet, my friend, but it is always worth tasting with open eyes. Now tell me, which part surprised you the most? That chocolate was once a bitter, spicy drink, that beans were used as money, or the darker truth of who truly paid for the world's sweetness? Write it in the comments below. I truly love hearing which part stayed with you. And before you go, let me leave you with a small riddle for our next story. Picture something white and precious, dug from deep within the earth, so valuable that ancient workers were sometimes paid with it, and the word for that payment still hides inside your language every time you speak of earning your wages. What could it be? Come back soon, and we will find out together. Until then, take care of yourself, my friend. This has been TokiCast, where the small things quietly change the world. I'll see you soon.